Good evening, welcome to the Pearl Report. I'm Diana Lin. Kung Fu, or martial arts in Chinese, made its way from mainland China to Hong Kong, starting in the 1920s and 30s as people left to find a better life. Kung Fu flourished in Hong Kong, developing many hybridized styles. Producer Melissa Hekolea met with masters of the prominent lineages to look at the heydays of Kung Fu past and the uncertainties of the future.
Lam Chun-fai, age 75, was born in Hong Kong. He's a master of the southern Chinese kung fu style called Hung Kun.
The waist and stance are powerful and solid, but Hung Kun also has a soft side. The soft movements are fast and agile, which is Hung Kun. Watch a few moves and you'd know. Which is Wing Chun? Of course, you have to know Kung Fu, which is Northern style, which is praying mantis. If you're a layman, you can't distinguish one from the other. At the age of 5, I started learning Kung Fu from my father.
Chun-fai's father, Lam Cho, an orphan, was adopted by Cho's uncle, Lam Sai-wing, once the revered chief kung fu instructor of the Kuomintang army in Fujian province.
Because of my father's influence, going to school was less important. In that generation, practicing Kung Fu was paramount. I was very weak when I was young, but after I practiced Kung Fu, I became stronger and I got more involved, more interested. A son should succeed a father, so it was strictly mandatory. I had to learn it.
This photo, my great-great-uncle, Lam Sai-wing, I think this photo should be 100 years ago. He shot this photo when he was maybe 40 or 40-something.
Chun-fai's granduncle Lam Sai-wing was a protege of the legendary Wang Fei Hung, who popularized Hung Kun in the 20th century. Wang and Lam have been ubiquitous subjects of Hong Kong kung fu movies and TV dramas. In the 1920s, Lam Sai-wing and Lam Cho moved here from Fujian province to heed a call by the Hong Kong Meat Association to teach kung fu, a common practice then for industries to train staff in martial arts.
Originally, they wanted to invite Wang Fei Hung, but Wang Fei Hung asked his student Lam Sai-wing to come instead because he was too old at the time.
But I can't do another. Hing Chao is a writer and expert in southern kung fu styles. Lam Chun-fai is Hing's Hung Kun teacher, also called Sifu or master.
I would reserve the term grandmaster to the father or teacher of my teacher, because people tend to use grandmasters, both in English and unfortunately in Chinese, rather inaccurately today. It's a great master and therefore it's a grandmaster. It's wrong. It's completely wrong. The Lam family, on the one hand, they have preserved the inherited teachings, but they have also played a very critical role in bridging the gap with Northern martial arts.
Through Nammu, a martial arts institute founded by Lam Sai-wing.
Through this institution, they brought about an unprecedented, I would say, level exchange between Northern martial arts and Southern martial arts, which in turn were instrumental in creating more hybridized styles of martial arts, which are unique to Hong Kong.
It invited Ken Takai to teach here. Ken founded the northern style Tai Shing Pekwar. Its saber routine is now part of Hung Kun.
This is considered one of the signature repertoire in Lam family Hong Kun today. Lam Cho and Gundahai, they were lifelong friends. A lot of their students exchanged techniques through observation, particularly when they have learned from the counterpart from the other style.
The Second World War. The Japanese occupied Hong Kong.
The Japanese occupation was chaotic times. Robberies were rampant, nothing to eat.
The Lambs were running a few kung fu schools by then.
People urged my father to come forth with his protégés to protect the community. They didn't have guns, only sticks. It was like neighborhood vigilantes. Each protectee would stick his vigilante's name on the door. Many gave my dad face and didn't rob all those who stuck my dad's name up.
After the war, Lam Chun Fai began teaching kung fu. He was about 12 years old.
I helped my father to teach as an assistant. Taught at 4 studios.
One was in the Blue House in Wan Chai.
At 15 to 16, I became a proper sifu, and I opened my own kung fu studio. Before, people learned kung fu to protect home and country. We had 60 to 70 students every night. Now it's like a sport to boost physical fitness. After a few lessons, some students feared hardship, some lost interest. Soon, only a few remained. You can't make a decent living teaching kung fu.
Lam Sifu has been teaching Hung Kun for 60 years. Masters and students from all over the world come to his tiny flat in North Point to learn from him.
Foreign students are many times more persevering than Hong Kong people in learning Kung Fu and passionate in practicing it. So I now have many more foreign students than Hong Kong students.
Lam travels the world giving seminars on Hung Kun. His students follow him back to Hong Kong. Massimo has been practicing Kung Fu for 25 years. 12 years ago, he began studying Hung Kun under Lam Chun Fai. Massimo has opened 4 Hung Kun studios in Italy.
The Sifu Chun Fai gave me the possibility to have the black uniform of our style, and it told me, okay, now you can also teach in Italy, and because now you are Sifu of our style.
Pavel teaches Hung Kun in the Czech Republic. He says his interest in Kung Fu came from the movies. In 2000, he began coming to Hong Kong twice a year to learn Hung Kun.
Lam family Kung Fu is not only a sport. It's a health, self-defense, some spiritual development, history, culture, many things together. Very extraordinary.
我哨除你雙攻手，然之後我雙掛除你浪。OK。再試多次。好。
Oscar Lam, son of Lam Chun Fai.
I believe if my dad had forced me to learn when I was young, my Kung Fu would be much better now. When I was young, not only did I dislike Kung Fu, but all sports.
Until he turned 16.
He later became more interested. I didn't need to force him.
The Lambs and their students were out in force at the recent launch of the book Hung Kun Fundamentals.
When I come out, people don't know I'm Oscar Lam Chun Ho, only that I'm Lam Chun Fai's son, Lam Cho's grandson. There are actually things I want to do, but I worry it affects my family's reputation. For instance, I wanted to ring fights, but my family objected.
People always think knowing Kung Fu means you can fight. Actually, it doesn't. I tell my students not to get into a fight easily, only if it's unavoidable.
Kwok Wan Ping, age 75, says as a boy in Guangdong province, he practiced martial arts to protect himself.
When I was 15, 16 years old, I was weak and often bullied by others. So I pushed myself, and I became muscular for a few years.
Kwok attended Guangzhou Sports Institute after high school. In 1960, Kwok won the Chinese National Championship in Tai Chi and became a Sifu. He also started learning Wing Chun, another Southern Kung Fu style. Kwok's Sifu is Shum Neng. His grandmaster, Yun Kei-shan, was among the first masters of Wing Chun in Foshan, a contemporary of Yip Man.
There were a lot of people like Yip Man in the 1940s, 1950s, 1960s who came to Hong Kong and were more established because they were professional teachers before they even came to Hong Kong than Yip Man. But Yip Man catapulted to fame, obvious reason, is Bruce Lee. Everyone asked, who is the teacher of this great martial artist? And the answer was Yip Man.
We tried our best to practice, didn't dare slack off. Wing Chun has 12 hand techniques. We have to do each move at least 100 times. For 12 hand techniques, we'll have to practice 1,200 times. My Kung Fu stream is Feng Xiu Xing. Sifu taught me until 1967, when I found a chance to escape to Hong Kong.
Joining legions of mainlanders fleeing the Cultural Revolution. Martial arts was seen by the Red Guards as a relic of the past. In Hong Kong, Kwok Wan Ping, then aged 27, worked in a factory and taught Kung Fu in his spare time in parks around Kowloon.
I had no place to teach. I was very poor. I moonlighted, teaching in the morning or at night. In 1969, I opened my Kung Fu studio here. Still here, never moved. We had 20-something people in a class. In the 70s, Hong Kong students were willing to practice because there wasn't much entertainment. Youths today have changed. They've lots to play with, so they don't practice hard. They fear hardship. Wing Chun is starting to go extinct. I worry about this.
Up next, can the masters keep their families' Kung Fu legacies alive?
Deng Yik never actually expect me to be his successor. And I say, yeah, okay, yes. And that single word, yes, means it's a big burden on my shoulder.
This and more when the Pearl Report returns.
Welcome back to the Pearl Report. Some popular Kung Fu styles are dying out with their aging masters as public interest wanes. Experts say Kung Fu is at a critical juncture in Hong Kong, and keeping it alive is a challenge for many Sifus.
4 stages of the training. Build up your own strength. Relax yourself first before you can move. After we build the form, speed. And that has to combine with the strength, learn the flexibility, that we really can do things quick and attack and hit. You don't know what is coming. When it comes, it comes. Right? And also win means we will be from an internal power, the chi.
Hong Kong-born Michael Tang is an engineer. He designed this velodrome in Chung Kwan O, as well as Pacific Place and the Convention and Exhibition Center in Hong Kong. In Macau, he did the Wynn and Galaxy resorts. In the world of martial arts, 63-year-old Michael is a master of Wing Chun, a southern Chinese Kung Fu style. He teaches it in his spare time.
I came from a relatively poor family. I only started formal training in 1968 when I was 17 years old. It is not I choose Wing Chun. I would say possibly Wing Chun chosen me.
Michael is the grandnephew of Tang Yik, a renowned Wing Chun master.
Dan Yik, he was very conservative, very selective in his choice of disciples, and hence it was and still remains a very much family affair.
The old-time Chinese martial artists, they really want to have the technique hand down to someone that has family linkage. Deng Yik didn't have his family around here.
Tang Yik's wife was killed and his son went missing in the Second World War. So he left his village near Foshan and moved to Hong Kong to be with his closest living relatives, Michael Tang and his dad.
Wing Chun masters, most of whom came originally from Fasan area in Guangdong province, they cluster around Yau Ma Tei at a market called Dai Dat Lang.
They included Tang Yik, Ip Man, Chu Chung Man, and Lo Chi Woon.
They held regular discussions and they probably learned one of two things from each other.
And they were good friends?
Yeah. They never fight. At those times, people, when they are on the same kind of similar or same style, they respect each other.
Tang Yik started at 10 learning Wing Chun from his parents, both martial artists. His father was dubbed King of the Pole in Foshan, referring to the long pole, Wing Chun's only weapon. Tang Yik inherited the title.
It's 7 movements. This is a half point, Qin, Si, Chang, Tan, Chou, Tik, God. So it makes up the fundamental movements.
Tang Yik was also nicknamed Mad Bee.
So it's the bee that stings you. His footwork is very much like Muhammad Ali, right? Fly like a butterfly and sting like a bee. This is one of our very fundamental movement. It's called Da Sam Ting. Like hitting 3 stars.
Wing Chun came from Shaolin monks in Fujian province. In the mid-17th century, they came under prolonged attacks by the emperor's troops from the north.
The monk in charge of the teaching of martial arts in Shaolin, the southern Shaolin, right? He fled to Guangdong. And he was chased after by the emperor's guardsmen.
Along the way, the monks spread Wing Chun to many other southerners to fight back northern invaders.
The southern China is a smaller one than the northern people. If I do this, right, if there's a strict punch, he's stronger, he's taller, bigger. He would easily overpower me. Right. See how we hit. We do a lot of hand roll out. Our technique is pretty lethal. That's why what Deng Yik worry is, unless people has a good control, right? Even if a student don't want to kill someone, by accidentally, he may kill somebody.
Michael says Tang Yik used to avoid taking on students with links to triads.
Old days, Kung Fu practicing a lot of time is related with fighting, with possibly triad gangsters. So if your student or his students do something bad, that bad luck could come back to him.
When Tang Yik was in his 70s,
he actually once called me in and asked me, techniques are good, very good, and this is the family art, so please keep it for him. And I say, yeah, okay, yes. And that single word, yes, means it's a big burden on my shoulder.
A lot of the old masters are still around. Many of them are above 70. So we are in a very critical juncture. What are we going to do with this knowledge? And what we decide to do with this knowledge, and whether or not these masters have the opportunity to actually pass down the inherited teachings, will determine whether Hong Kong will continue to be a hub for Chinese martial art.
Michael has 2 grown children who are not interested in Kung Fu at all.
They have their regular life, they have business, they have work. It's a bit of a real pity that overseas people seem to have more passion than Chinese. Hong Kong people would become pressurized and too much distraction, actually.
Michael is looking overseas to keep Kung Fu alive.
I retired from my engineering profession and spent a bit of time traveling to Europe. There are quite a lot of people, Westerners, now find interest in the form because they heard of Deng Yik's name. When they compare our form with the Wing Chun, they find it's a different expression.
The Tang's Wing Chun is from Fei Loi Temple in Guangdong, but there are many other Wing Chun styles.
The way in which the Wing component of Wing Chun is written for the Yip Man and Kwok Wan Ping lineages compared to the style practiced by Tan Yik and his descendants, which is written with Wing, a ruse to disguise the true identity of the Wing Chun practitioners. There was no fundamental difference between the two styles.
I really want to share my knowledge that I've been attaining through my years of training with Deng Yik. It's important to me personally because it's my promise to Deng Yik. Practicing from him would, I would say, be instrumental to how I develop my character.
Michael's mission now is to find a successor.
Do you think you'll be able to find a protege here in Hong Kong, or do you have a feeling it will be outside?
It depends on fate.
The 75 Wing Chun master Kwok Wan Ping has a successor, his own son.
When I was 6-7 years old, father guided me to practice some Kung Fu for physical fitness or to have another tool to protect myself. My interest grew as I practiced Kung Fu. When I was small, I got prizes if I did well. If I did badly, I was scolded.
Around 15, 16, he started showing interest. He's practiced for some 20 years. Now he helps me teach. I send him out. This is grand pupil, great-grand pupil, 4th generation. I have tried my best to teach my son and my students all I've learned and practiced. I know I'm not as strong physically as I was, as they are now. I don't fight anymore. I teach less. As a professional, I'll teach until I can no longer move. I prefer doing Tai Chi. A Wing Chun drill is short, but it's not as good as Tai Chi for physical fitness. Tai Chi moves are big and they stretch, so practicing takes longer.
The method is more sophisticated, and the sticky hand requires a lot of touch and feel. The speed, the gestures are denser, faster. People are less persevering than in the older days. Wing Chun is easy to learn but hard to master. I want to keep the spirit. I hope to preserve this martial art style. If I have kids, I'll try my best to teach them.
Well, thank you for watching our show. It will be re-aired on Tuesday and Saturday, as well as on tvb.com. Until next time, from the Pearl Report team, good night, good luck, and good health.